Well, I live in East Croydon now. When I was coming up for this benefit night for Ronnie, I passed by what was the old Southwest London Magistrates Court, where it all started off when I was 17 years old. And of course, when it goes back into the old days, of course I remember my good old friend Ronnie, how he looked after me when I was in prison, the camaraderie that exists in prison. One particular episode I remember very vividly. I was cold, I was hungry, I was doing 3 days bread and water, and by a system which used to exist in prisons, Ronnie arranged for the whole wing to pass by a line a tin containing hot chocolate liberally sweetened with treacle, and it was lowered down to me in my cell in the punishment block. Never ever have a drink tasted so well, ever, ever. I've never forgot Ronnie for that.
Do you think that he regrets coming back to Britain?
I don't know, I can't look into someone else's mind, but I think with a great deal of self-sacrifice, he knew that he was a terrific burden to Michael, that it was a hindrance to him, and basically the medical attention he needed he couldn't afford while he was in Rio. So he came back home to help Michael out and also to get the best medical care he could.
Do you think that any of you sort of regret the great train robbery, especially Ronnie, his partner?
I don't think that he can regret it. I mean, it led him on a life of adventure. He'd always been an adventurer, and it led him into a life that, was dangerous to a certain extent. I mean, he was kidnapped twice by mercenaries. He's led a remarkable life, and you know, he's been rich in lots of respects, but life is like that. It pays dividends in some respects, but there's no free lunch. Sooner or later you have to pay for it, and of course Ronnie's paying for it now.
Do you think he's likely to be released?
Well, the attitude of the government seems to be quite draconian. Why they can't let an old man out of 73 years of age who's had 3 strokes, who's no threat to society whatsoever. And you must remember is that this is not to put Ronnie down, but he didn't know anything of the plans of the great train robbery. He was brought in simply because he knew a train driver. He was not made privy to the inner workings of the train robbery. So the sentence he got really was absolutely out of the question, was wrong. Ronnie should have got a smaller sentence because he only played such a minor part.
People always go on about the sort of train driver that was injured. Do you think that has any relevance to Ronnie Biggs at all?
Well, it had relevance at the time because obviously it was the only thing really that the authorities could sort of put on us and besmirch actually the whole robbery. In actual fact, of course, that he died 7 years later. The Home Office coroner and pathologist both said that they were aware that Mr. Mills had been hit on the head during the great train robbery 7 years previously, but in their opinion and by all medical examination, he died of acute leukemia complicated by pneumonia.
And obviously you helped to bring him back to Britain. What are your personal feelings about that? Are you happy that you did that?
Well, I felt it was my duty. I mean, I brought him into the train robbery, and what I saw was really like the finale, the epilogue, if you like, to Ronnie Biggs' career of being odd man out, man on the run, our correspondent in Brazil.
Final question, how do you think he'll be remembered?
I think he'll be remembered as the type of person he was. I mean, he is a lovable rogue. He had a great sense of humour, and virtually everyone that's ever met him said what a nice guy he is, which of course he is. And you've only got to look at his son Michael to see what a fine boy he is. And that's a tribute to his father.
Right, thanks very much indeed.
My pleasure.